Well, big breaking news which is coming in before we get you that mega exclusive from Malda. Yashwant Varma has sent in his resignation to the President of India. This is a mega Times Now exclusive. Remember Yashwant Sinha and the exclusive that Times Now mounted Operation Order. Now you have the Yashwant Varma. I beg your pardon. This is the outcome. Remember, after Times Now had exposed on Operation Order how there was burning stashes of cash which was found at his home. He had refuted all the charges. There was an entire inquiry which sat. He continued to dig in his heel, but now he has finally resigned. Let me go across to Bhavtosh. Bhavtosh, first tell us what the discoveries were against him and what really led him to resign now, after a year of him denying all these allegations.
Well, what we can confirm, Meghna, is Justice Yashwant Varma has sent his resignation to President of India, and the President of India obviously will accept his resignation. He is presently a justice in Allahabad High Court, though he has not been given any work. Now, it's been nearly 2 years since this entire controversy broke out, when a vat of cash, in fact, a huge amount of cash was found in his residence. He was not present in his residence, so his family members were present in his residence. And it happened on the holy night. That's exactly 2 years back, 1 month back, this huge amount of cash was found. And subsequent to that, what happened next was that Delhi police personnel, along with the fire department officials, went to his residence, and they in fact extinguished the fire. But a report was then submitted to the commissioner of the Delhi police, who informed the Chief Justice of the Delhi High Court. Now, the Delhi High Court then subsequently informed the Supreme Court. Chief Justice and Chief Justice Khanna had in fact set up an inquiry. Now, that inquiry report was submitted, in fact was made public. Now, there was in fact a lot of pressure on Justice Varma to resign. He did in fact dig his heel and claimed that he has not committed any illegality or any kind of criminal offense. Subsequent to that, there was also an impeachment motion that was moved. He tried all possible legal help to save himself, and also he always maintained that he has not committed any offense and that the cash did not belong to him, that it could be possible that the cash was in fact illegally brought to his residence. But looking at the fact that the impeachment motion was there in the parliament and that he was to be deposing before the parliament, he decided on his part to resign. One has to wait and see what will happen next. But a big development, news that is breaking first on Times Now, Justice Varma has put in his resignation. The larger issue will continue, whether Justice Varma will ever come out in open and speak over this issue. But we can confirm to our viewers that Justice Varma, in fact, of Allahabad High Court has, in fact, put in his papers, and we will see what happens next as far as this case is concerned.
Well, absolutely. In fact, we have Harish Nair, our legal editor, Pranesh Roy, as well as President Droupadi, who's joining us. Harish, I'm going to quickly come to you. This is huge because there was a committee which was said each and every denial came in from Justice Varma at that time. Today, he has resigned. You must explain to us why now. What did he fear? Was it impeachment?
Yes, that's right, Meghna. As Bhavtosh said, he had tried every way, every trick in his book, in fact, to try and defer or get the impeachment move cancelled. Because even after Justice Sanjeev Khanna, the then Chief Justice, had forwarded all the material saying prima facie cases made out and sent it to the President and Prime Minister, saying that Parliament can initiate impeachment process. Justice Yashwant Varma had twice moved the Supreme Court challenging the process. First, in the first matter, Justice Dipankar Datta had rejected his petition and said that the then Chief Justice was within his powers to forward all the material to President and the Prime Minister and the Parliament to initiate the impeachment process. Second was when he questioned the panel constituted by the Lok Sabha Speaker Om Birla, saying that a joint committee of both Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha should have been constituted since both motion was presented in both houses. But the Supreme Court had said that the Rajya Sabha had rejected the motion but only the Lok Sabha had admitted. So the Lok Sabha Speaker was within his powers to constitute the probe committee. So twice Yashwant Varma had tried to derail the impeachment process, but now after everything failed, there was no way because he did not want to suffer the ignominy of being the first judge in the history of Indian judiciary to be impeached by the parliament, because in fact the impeachment process also entails two-thirds strength of both houses. He sensed that parliament is going to impeach him, and the Lok Sabha committee which was constituted by Om Birla, and also this also come at a time when the committee set up by the Lok Sabha Speaker Om Birla was conducting the probe as per the Judges Inquiry Act, and it was almost completed. Then, when suddenly he decided to resign, perhaps to escape from the ignominy of being the first judge in the history of Indian judiciary to be impeached by the Parliament.
He perhaps wanted to, as Harish rightly put out, not be the first judge to be impeached by the Parliament. Ahead of that, he's resigned. Pranesh, but the politics over it, we've seen a lot of it, especially after Here on Times Now, Navika Kumar broke the story on Operation Order, the complete files on what really was found that night.
You know, for over 1 year now, Justice Varma has been defiant. You are right that Navika Kumar, our group editor-in-chief, had broken the story much ahead of, the competition, and that the 64-page report had really set things in the right light. The three-panel inquiry that Harish Bhai and Bhavtosh was talking about, that inquiry panel had said that there were inferential evidence that the cash was indeed found at Justice Varma's storeroom. Times Now took our viewers through the voluminous 64-page report. After that, we had the Supreme Court uploading the order, and there have been many twists and turns in the case. But I just want to, set things in perspective by asking one question of our viewers, Meghna, and that is, if you and I were found in a similar situation, if wads of cash were recovered from our houses, or any place which is associated or remotely associated with us, it would not have taken us 1 year and this kind of defiance to tender a resignation. And what really worsened the matter was that the courts thought that he should be transferred. He was sent to Allahabad High Court, and that really added to the anger and outrage. Now, after sustained public pressure and the procedure which was initiated in the Parliament, Justice Varma has finally succumbed. He has relented and he has resigned.
You're absolutely right. It wasn't just about one judge. It was the entire judiciary, the trust of the public on the judiciary, which came under scrutiny after this incident came to light. I believe Sagarika has that letter that Justice Yashwant Varma has written. Tell us what his resignation says.
Yes, Meghna, a story broken here by Times Now, the coverage led by Navika Kumar. And today we are telling our viewers about the resignation of Justice Varma. And this is the letter. He says, take a look. We've also accessed, this is our colleague Priyank has accessed this letter. This is the resignation letter dated 9th of April. Justice Yashwant Varma, Allahabad High Court. He writes to the President, and the subject is resignation from the office of the Judge of the Honorable High Court of the Judicature at Allahabad. Your Excellency, while I do not propose to burden your august office with the reasons which have constrained me, but to submit this missive, it is with deep anguish that I hereby tender my resignation from the office of the Judge of the Honorable High Court of the Judicature at Allahabad with immediate effect. It has been an honor to serve this office, yours faithfully, and it has been marked to CGI Suryakant as well. So yes, Justice Yashwant Varma has resigned. We've accessed the copy of his resignation letter. While he says, I do not propose to burden your august office with reasons which have constrained me to submit this missive, it is for everyone to know why Justice Varma has resigned.
Well, absolutely. Let me go across to Priyank. And Priyank, just to give our viewers a quick reminder of what exactly it is that here on Times Now's Operation Order we had revealed about all the details. The 55 eyewitnesses who were examined, independent witnesses. Delhi Police Commissioner was also part of this probe. There were 13 Fire Department officials, 6 CRPF officials, 14 other Delhi Police officials who were all questioned by the committee, the 3-member committee. But I remember, Priyank, very vividly. You were there early morning, the day after that call had gone to the fire brigade that there was a fire at Justice Varma's residence. You were there early morning and you managed to see wads of half-burnt cash. Tell us about that night. Priyank, if you can hear me. Well, let me go across to Pragya instead, and then we'll go across to Bhavtosh because they were actively tracking the police's probe in this. Pragya, ahead of the Parliament sacking Justice Varma, I believe he's decided to resign himself to avoid the ignominy of that. But it is, after all, here on Times Now on Operation Order that we revealed. We were the first ones to reveal exactly what had happened that night. Pragya, you must remind our viewers what it is that the fire officials who had gone there, what they found when it came to that padlock and that outhouse. Because Justice Varma had claimed that he didn't have any access to the padlock. He wasn't even in town. There were others who may have had access to it. Tell us about the mystery of that outhouse.
Well, Meghna, first thing first, there is an inquiry that is going on right now, as far as this particular case is concerned. And what we are given to understand by the government sources is that that inquiry is about to be finished. It is about to be completed, and we were not expecting that he will resign, because he has put up a front and he had decided to fight against it, and this is why the inquiry was constituted. There is a case of impeachment that is also impending in the Parliament. After the inquiry is finished, that report was to be submitted to the Speaker, Lok Sabha, and also to both the houses. It will be present. In fact, if Justice Verma decided not to resign, then there would be the trial of this, and also he will get a chance to speak in the Parliament. But now that he has decided to resign, the matter rests here. We will get to know in some time from the government sources whether this inquiry report will be submitted even then or not, because this will also be part of the investigation. Eventually law will take its own course, because after resigning, Justice Verma no longer enjoys the privilege that it had while being in the judiciary. So FIR is going to be lodged against him in this particular case, and then just like any other criminal case, the case will go on, and in fact many investigation can be done about it. But having said that, this come as a very surprise to the government as well, is what we are given to understand, that he decided to resign. While government had always wanted him to resign before the impeachment, he decided not to do that. But the fact that he has now resigned, we will yet to see whether the inquiry committee that has been formed, whether they will finish the report and submit it or not, and what is the locus standi of that particular report. Law officers who will be doing the investigation in the court, or will it still be submitted to the Lok Sabha Speaker? This all yet to be seen.
Oh, this is going to be huge. Pranesh, I'll bring you in. And as we were discussing earlier, now Justice Varma is just going to be Yashwant Varma. He's not a judge anymore. The way forward from here will be very interesting. As a private citizen, he does face, or likely to face, the brunt of law.
You're right, Meghna. This is only half justice done. And, like I said, at the cost of repeating myself, judiciary is not just any other institution in our country. Judiciary is really, for lack of a better word, the moral compass of our country. And when that moral compass falters, wavers, it does not augur well for a functioning democracy like ours. This resignation is only half justice. Now that Yashwant Varma has resigned, FIR must be filed without any delay, a probe must be conducted, and whatever legal action is deemed fit, that must be taken to show the people that no one in this country is above the law. This resignation is, is only too little too late. Remember the outrage by the Bar Association of Allahabad when he was sent to Allahabad High Court? The lawyers were up in arms, and it took Yashwant Varma good 7-8 months after that, because that happened in May, if I'm not wrong, and now almost 9-10 months. So now that he's resigned, and you said he's a private citizen, ordinary citizen like any of us, full wrath of the law, might of the law must apply to him, just like it applies to all of us.
Pranesh, do stay on with us. What we are going to do is show the visuals and focus on the visuals from that night when that fire had broken out at Justice Varma's residence. There was a call which was made from his staff and his family to the fire department, which then came, and this is what they found. It's important for us to understand these visuals that you can see on the extreme left-hand side of your screens, and I'm going to put it on the big screen as well. There you have it. This on the big screen, you'll be able to see it very clearly. This is what was recorded by the Delhi police. This was part of the entire investigation. I'm going to explain this visual a bit to you. Now, this was the contention which was being made by Justice Varma, was that there was no cash which was there in this house or in the back outhouse. And here, very clearly, you can see half-burnt notes lying in the bottom. You also have one of the fire officers saying, "Dekho, dekho, Gandhi ji jal rahe," a reference to Mahatma Gandhi's picture on the notes, 500 rupee notes, saying that, see, it is burning. Mahatma Gandhi mein aag lag rahi hai is the quote which we could hear as well. So let me go across to Priyank. Priyank, if you can hear me, I was asking you earlier, denial after denial came from Justice Varma saying, A, he wasn't there, B, that everyone had access to this outhouse, it wasn't just him, and first and foremost, that there was no cash. But this video that we are getting for our viewers is what really explained it. You were there on the morning of that fire. What did you see with your own eyes?
See, Meghna, it was quite clear that no one could have had access to this particular bungalow where Yashwant Varma was staying, apart from those individuals who have been given clearance by the security. There was a paramilitary security which was outside, and the family members of Yashwant Varma were the one who could have had access to this particular, premises, the room where this cash load was found, and later to that, the kind of discrepancy which was there in the call which was made to the fire department had also made this case more murkier. As our colleagues have been pointing out, that there were 3 judges panel from the high courts which were continuing this particular investigation. But when the investigation panel tried to look into the kind of PCR call detail which was there with them, it was quite clear that the caller first called that there is a fire in the house, and within 8 minutes after the call, the lady caller, probably she was one of the family member of Yashwant Varma, made it clear that the call has been doused off. But since it was an SOS call which was related to a high-profile person who was staying in the Lutyens, Delhi, the ACP rank officer from the Delhi police moved to the location along with the station house officer, because they are the one who have been designated to complete the procedure for any call which is related to a VVIP. We were talking about a sitting judge. That's why the ACP moved to the location. And the second call, which was claiming that the fire has been doused off, happened to be a fake one. The fire department officials reached there, and Meghna, you can imagine no one could have had that kind of courage to bring out this particular video until and unless the Apex Court order copy itself had that link which was establishing that this video is from the residence of Yashwant Varma. Everything was clean. The police officers were told to go, and the clean crime scene was cleared. It was a day after, when I was walking along with my colleagues, when we found those burned pages of the cash right next to the residence of Yashwant Varma, because everything, the load of cash was cleared from the location, and those burned 500 pieces of note actually established, Meghna, that yes, the notes have come out. And when we also took the eyewitness account of the cleaning staff, they confirmed it to us that these notes have come from there, and they have taken a whole lot of notes from this particular location. So every chronology was showing that Yashwant Varma was somewhere, associated with this load of cash, although he was denying. But the manner in which these PCR calls, the credentials, and those burned pages of note, which was exclusively found by Times Network, established the chain, and you have it. After months, he has finally put in his paper.
Finally, Yashwant Varma cannot deny anymore. Repeated denials, of course, did not add up. because of the quantum of evidence that even here on Times Now we've been getting for our viewers. Abha Singh is also joining us, a lawyer as well as an activist. Abha Singh, finally some semblance of justice, but legally speaking, what happens from here on? Yashwant Varma, I shouldn't call him Justice Yashwant Varma, just Yashwant Varma, when will he get justice?
You know, I mean, as on today, he has put in his papers, but till the time it's not accepted, he remains Justice Yashwant Varma. Of course, the deeds which have come forward, definitely people don't have respect, and it did dampen the judiciary to a large extent. Cash was found, evidence was there. But what is important is, because if his resignation is accepted, then the impeachment would not happen, that otherwise would have happened.
Right.
But this should not stop the other inquiry by the Delhi police, because the people of this country need to know who put the cash there, which case that was, because had a common man faced this, he would have really gone to the gallows. So Justice Varma should not escape. And also let me tell you, your viewers, that if his resignation is accepted, he gets eligible for pension and other perks. Why should it be given to him at all if he is guilty? So the inquiry should be taken to the logical end. When there were videos taken by the Delhi police, what we read from the newspapers and heard on the television, that those videos were confiscated. We citizens of the country have a right to know that what was there in the videos. The truth should come out, because end of the day, the democracy which we enjoy today when we are sitting on your channel and speaking boldly is because of an independent judiciary, a non-corrupt judiciary. So he may have resigned to escape impeachment, because I'm sure the fact-finding committee had found a lot of things. And even when he went to Supreme Court, the Supreme Court turned down his plea that the in-house committee findings should not be taken into account. So things were going against him. By resigning, he's trying to protect himself. But I feel howsoever high you are, the law is always above you. Let him face the same proceedings which a common man would face.
Well, very well explained. Thank you so much for that, Abha Singh. Let me also go across to Ripu Daman Shahi, who's joining us, President of the Oud Bar Association. Now, Mr. Shahi, several of the bar associations have been writing mails to the highest authorities within the judiciary as well, saying that it's important that this man does not get away and he gives all of us a bad name. In fact, let me go back across to Abha Singh. Abha Singh, do you think finally this is the time for redemption? Because it's unfortunate, but a person like this, with allegations such as this, really tarnishes the entire reputation of the judiciary.
Absolutely, absolutely. One cannot think of that in a judge's house, a government house, outhouse has so much of cash, and it is found. And that too, I would say it was divine intervention, because the corruption, the levels of corruption which we are seeing in the society in every nook and corner, I think gods are having pity on us, and this fire was God-made. Not man-made, I would say, and that is how only this came out. So I would also raise the question to the vigilance authorities, to the CBI, what are you doing when so much cash is lying in the outhouses? So it does raise question about the vigilance organization also. Are we ready to accept this kind of corruption? And let it not be, earlier also one judge stepped down and did not face impeachment, but one must make a role case out of this, because Justice Khanna, Chief Justice Khanna, was the one person who took a stand.
Yes.
We salute that Chief Justice of India, Justice Sanjeev Khanna, who took a stand. He faced so much flack, but he said, no, I have to protect the image of the judiciary.
Absolutely. And it's good that you have leaders such as Justice Varma who are going to be showing the path towards justice. And hopefully this is going to be. But Abha Singh says that Justice Varma should not be allowed to retire or resign. He should face the committee and the probe must continue. Ripu Daman Shahi is again back with us, if you can hear me. Mr. Shahi, I was asking you, several of the bar associations themselves had stepped in, writing open letters saying this man must face the full brunt of an inquiry. Nothing should be covered up. Today, at least, it seems that this kind of a mounted pressure has borne result.
It is yet to be seen that why Justice Varma has done this, because he might have been given some assurance to quit the post in order to avoid bitter consequences, because right from the start, the government is siding with Mr. Varma, and there is a section in the government which are in support of Mr. Varma, despite of clear stand taken by Chief Justice Sanjeev Khanna, we have passed so much time to see any result. Let us see what happens. The news is very much surprising for the legal community, but not surprising for the government.
Well, absolutely. Thank you so much, Mr. Shahi, for joining us, as well as Abha Singh. We are going to keep coming back to you for more details on this so that you can also put the legal perspective into this entire story. But for the timing, let's also quickly tell you what exactly it is that we had managed to show here on Operation Order. These are the details that we were getting for you then. This gives you a sense of what the probe was that Justice Varma was facing. These were the independent witnesses. The Delhi Police Commissioner Sanjay Arora was one of the witnesses as well who was examined. There are 14 other Delhi police officials because remember, first the fire department was called to the spot, following which the police had also arrived. So in addition to that, you had the daughter Diya Varma, who was in the house at the time of this fire, was also probed and questioned. Others included the judge's private secretary, 15 other house staff and members. These were all the people, part of the 55 witnesses who were examined in this. This is how the verdict was reached, as many have said that finally in this committee's decision, they had decided that this man did have to answer for the huge caches of unamounted cash which was found in the outhouse of his government bungalow. All of this happened in the national capital, and there were sacks full of cash which were found, and they were all found half burning. Well, there are eyewitness accounts, especially those from the Delhi fire services, who came and said that the stacks were stashed up one after the other, and saying that they came up to the waist, just to give you a sense and perspective into it. Jay Dehadra is joining us, advocate on record at the Supreme Court. Jay, this was bound to happen, but there are others saying by having stepped down at this time, he knew what was coming. Justice Varma knew that there is an impeachment which is impending. He's just trying to float a face saver here.
Hi, good afternoon. Respectfully, I disagree. The outcome of an impeachment would have, depended heavily upon what allegations were proven against him. Let us remember that the first statement that he came out with, he was very clear. He had said that he's being framed. Yes. And ultimately, if you look at it this way, nothing has ever been proven against him till today. So I stand with him. He's innocent until proven guilty. The evidence and the sacks of cash which you were referring to that were apparently burning, they were never found. So we don't know what the entire truth of this matter is. I, for one, think it's deeply unfortunate that the Delhi High Court has lost one of its finest judges. He was an incredible judge. You can speak to anyone who's practiced in his court, and in the Delhi High Court generally will tell you that he was an incredibly industrious, honest judge. So we don't know what's happened, what precisely has taken place or what his thinking is at this point. And please remember, he's also challenged the constitution of the impeachment committee, the investigation committee under the Judges Inquiries Act, which has been constituted in Parliament. That challenge is still pending before the Honorable Supreme Court. So according to me, we've not yet heard the last word in this entire rather unfortunate saga.
But Jay Dehadra, one would imagine, if he knows that he's innocent, if he says that there was no incriminating stacks of burnt cash which was there, of course a lot of it was removed because there are videos which are there. Somewhere it would have gone, we don't know where. That probe is still on. Then why resign? Then why not be part of the committee, wait for the entire probe to come to an end? Fight it out, both at the level of probity as well as in the Parliament.
Oh, you ask a very fair question. And this can only be answered by the Honorable Judge himself. According to me, I think he perhaps was frustrated and perhaps disgusted by the entire saga that has come to be in this entire case. That could be one reason. And no one is to say, nobody is saying that no investigation or probe will, or the probe will stop now. So there can still be an investigation, there can still be a probe. And lastly, we live, this, you're in the media, you work for one of the top media institutions in the country. the proliferation of artificial intelligence or AI-driven videos in this country cannot also be ruled out. So we don't know.
Okay, that's very interesting. Yes, you're right about that. But Jay Dehadra, and I'm sure you're fully aware of what the probe committee had found, the 3-member committee. There were also eyewitness accounts who said that, yes, we saw it. There were Times Now's cameras on that very road, right outside his house in the morning. We have Priyank as well. We'll get him as well. He will tell you how he himself saw there was 500 rupee notes, half-burned notes, which were flying all over the streets outside his residence. Many would say that there is evidence. Yes. It's okay to say that I was being framed, but it is very hard to believe that everything is concocted, everything was an AI video, because you have eyewitness accounts as well, including that of a Delhi police officer who had put on record saying that I was asked not to pursue.
All right, but also please consider this aspect. When this entire incident happened and when, this alleged cash was discovered, the judge and his family, they weren't in town. What is to say?
His daughter was there, actually, Jay.
Well,
his daughter was there. She was there, and she made one of the calls to the fire department.
Yes, but the daughter is not accused. Let's keep the family.
No, you said his family was not there, so I was just saying.
Well, his wife was
going by the facts.
Who's the accused
his daughter was there. 13 other staff members were there.
Yes. All right, fine. I take your point. But the judge is the only person who was accused of something here. Judge wasn't here. He was out of town with his wife. What is to say without a proper investigation and an inquiry? So I support what you're saying. Let there be a full-fledged inquiry. And therefore, the person who's accused of actually, the cash belonging to him was never in town, wasn't on the scene, only comes back later. So if it is not AI, if cash has been planted, all of these things happen in this great country of ours. It has happened historically. So all I'm saying is, without a proper investigation or without getting into the facts entirely, through a probe, it is still unfair, according to me, to tarnish this man's image or anybody's image. That's all I'm saying.
I agree with you. Let there be a fair probe. But Jay Dehadra, how would you like to respond to those? And we have some of the lawyers on our show as well, who say that he knew that he would be impeached, hence he resigned so that he continues to get the benefits of a resignation as well, continue past his retirement. Many are saying he doesn't deserve that. And this is within the legal fraternity.
Yes, with great respect, I think it is extremely unfair for these other observers, as you're mentioning, to really imagine and to speculate about what's going on in the judge's mind. It's difficult to figure that out. But I am sure of one thing, and if that judge is listening to me, I do hope one day he comes out with what the real truth was in this entire case. And he comes out and he speaks up about it, because I, for one, personally do not think that what is being presented is the entire picture. This is what my sense as a criminal lawyer is.
Okay, but Jay Dehadra, he has spoken. It's not like here on Times Now we haven't brought to our viewers what exactly his defense is.
He's denied
it. He said it's a defense in his defense that A, I wasn't at home. B, yes, my staff was there. C, he says my staff members did not see any of the cash. But I believe Navika Kumar, Times Group Editor-in-Chief, is also joining us. She's the one who got us Operation Order. Over to you, Navika.
Thank you very much, Meghna. Well, life comes a full circle for former Justice Yashwant Varma, first in the Delhi High Court, when these burning Gandhiji notes were discovered from the outhouse of his residence. Impeachment process was imminent. The stages of that impeachment process had already begun, with committees looking into this entire issue. There was an internal inquiry by the Supreme Court judges also that had been conducted. Justice Varma has taken his time, but finally tendered his resignation. It has been a scandal in the judiciary that has caught attention, and public attention that was drawn to this especially has raised questions of corruption in corridors of the judiciary. And Justice Varma's resignation today actually brings back the focus on, can judges be above the law? Can judges be above the lens of propriety? And today the pressure probably got too much for Justice Varma to go through this entire process. He still had time as far as his service was concerned, but the motions and the wheels of justice move just like for a common man, so did they move for the judge. The question also puts the spotlight on the debate on should judges have so much protection, the impeachment process so long and so cumbersome that sometimes justice is never meted out and ultimately sees either the retirement or the resignation of the judges. The point right now is that this resignation today brings back into focus those burning notes, the bundles of notes that were burning. How did so much money land in the outhouse of a sitting judge of the High Court? The questions scream louder today than ever before. Will people in this country get a closure? Is the resignation of Justice Varma the closure, or should the law apply to him like for any other common man in India who is found with a needle of suspicion as far as corruption charges are concerned? Those are the questions that will now need to be answered, not just by the legislature, but also by the judiciary. We saw how the NCRP page on corruption in judiciary was a small paragraph, and the entire judicial system reacted to it, so much so that that reference was removed. Today, questions surface again on the code of conduct of the judiciary. Justice Varma's resignation today ends at least the first part of what started off as a huge scandal in the corridors of the judiciary, with a High Court judge being found asking questions, not agreeing to the fact that he was at home, almost alluding to the fact that the bundles of notes came there without his knowledge, which was something that even a child on the street would not be able to accept as a logical argument. With his resignation, the questions only grow louder. What happens? Is this the end of justice for Justice Varma? Resignation and forget about the rest? Or will we get to the bottom of how those bundles of notes came in? What were they meant for? Should all the judicial decisions that he took now be under a microscope yet again? Were those judgments kosher? Was there an element of doubt? All of those issues come back into the open today, and that is what is the answer that the public of India, the citizens of India, will be looking for, Meghna.
Very well put. Navika Kumar, they're explaining how this is not the end. This is just the beginning of the hunt for justice, because justice must be met. It is the public of India who deserve to get the answers. As Navika Kumar also tells you, scrutiny and the entire system of impeachment of judges, scrutiny on the judiciary and the impeachment of judges is a process that should be discussed and debated. We'll have to wait and see if these discussions are going to be opened up now after this resignation. So more questions there, more debates there, rather than a conclusion with the resignation of Justice Varma with this.